What's going on, everybody? James here from Next Level Gaming, and welcome to another episode of the Level Up Podcast. I've got Nick and JS here with me today, and today's topic is about gaming disorders and gaming addictions. So, JS, I would like to ask you, do you think gaming addiction is over-exaggerated, or is it becoming a major issue that needs to be addressed?
Honestly, I think the gaming culture, don't get me wrong, for the last 30 or 40 years, it's been steadily growing and prevalent in society. But I honestly think it's just going to continue to be so important to everybody's everyday life. Like you have, like the elderly are playing video games. Full-grown adults are now playing video games because of the generation they grew up in, right? Young kids are playing video games. You have children who are playing mobile games on their telephone. Like, this is a problem. Of course it can be a problem, right? And it comes down to so many different factors. It's like, what are you using video games for? So for instance, I have my older sister has two lovely young kids. They're very young. One's under a year and the other one's turning 2.5. And their cell phone privileges and TV privileges are minimalized as much as possible. I totally understand why, because it's so easy to just be like, oh, my kid's acting up, there's a problem, here, use my cell phone and play Candy Crush or play some nonsensical bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And these kids will play it. Yeah. And like, you see it more and more often. I mean, I was a server for years in a restaurant and I was watching. I mean, don't get me wrong, especially as a server, it's nice, right? It's good when the kids are preoccupied and they're playing their stupid little phone games and stuff like that, and instead of screaming and running around the goddamn building. You're you're almost grateful for it, right? But it's become an excuse. It's become an easy way to shut your kids up. Every time they scream or yell, just give them the cell phone and say, yeah, play that stupid game you want to play, right? And that's fine. A lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, but that's a huge problem. Like, I can, your sister's two younger kids, 2 and 3, you said?
Or, no, God, wow, nearly
Oh,
one.
so younger.
Yeah.
So like, I can, give you guys an example. Like my 4-year-old turning 5 now. We got her she got like one of those little pads. We got her like one of those Samsung tablets. But like, obviously, we restrict her on what she's watching, obviously, and what she's doing on it. And then she also plays the Nintendo Switch. And then there's times where you're like, okay, you've got your 20 minutes. Do what you're going to do, play your games, and then it's like, okay, there's days where she doesn't want to give it up, and then there's days where she's like, here you go, and all that stuff. But like when it comes to restaurants, like we never bring obviously you have your phone with you, but I would never bring a Switch to a restaurant. I would never give her the phone at a restaurant, because you want them to be respectful when at a restaurant, but that's also maybe the way we've been brought up, right?
You know what? That's interesting, because I would almost say the opposite, right? It's like, if you have the time to be there, I this isn't like a qualm about your parenting or anything like that, but I think like at a restaurant, it's almost more about the parents and being like, let the parents have fun, let them converse with their friends and blah blah blah. And if the kids are like, having a kid sit down in a restaurant for 3 hours, 2 hours straight, that's asking a lot. So having the ability to say, okay, yeah, they're spazzing out a little bit, instead of making a scene, give them the damn cell phone, let them screw around while the parents have their time. And like,
but they gotta learn though. The kids gotta learn, right? Like I could tell you, like when we took my daughter out, like a few times, she was acting up. This is when she was younger, like 2 and 3. Of course, they're gonna act out a little bit, but then over time, we go out. We try to go out once a week. Obviously, we can't now, but we made it a point. Okay, every Friday we're going to Swiss Chalet or the local whatever. We're like up in here in Milton, and over time, she just enjoys it now, right? Like we enjoy going out for dinner. Okay, obviously, like I said, we can't do it now, but she enjoyed, like, hey, let's go for dinner.
For posterity's sake, why can't we? Just in case someone watches this video 3 years from now.
Yeah, COVID. Maybe my kids are gonna watch this.
Over.
If you're watching this now,
that game series
delete
Fallout?
My internet history. Yeah.
But
that game series Fallout, that's what's happening right now.
But like the whole, like, even when I go to restaurants before, it's like I hated it when I saw other kids like, why the hell are you running around? And it's like my daughter's like, hey, these kids are running around, and then all of a sudden you see them like sitting on their phones after. But then I have a problem where it's like family dinner time. You take the time to take your kids out and go out for dinner, but every single person is on, at that dinner table, fucking on their phones.
Mobile device.
Like, come on.
But that brings us to an interesting point. So it's like, why are we going out for dinner, right? So a lot of the times I see, maybe that's just fair enough. But a lot of the times where I've seen in my past, I've worked at more adult establishments. No, I'm kidding.
No, but
Not
like
that.
the
Just
restaurants you
classier
work at.
places.
Yeah,
Yeah, classier places for sure, right? Where it's more about the parents. Like the parents
of
need a
course.
night out. Yeah, they bring their kids along. Blah blah blah. There, it brings up a good point. There's a time and a fucking place. There's a time and a place where you can let your kids do that.
Mhm.
And you know what? To their credit, a lot of these programs and games that these kids are playing are educational.
Yes.
So in the end, it's fine as long as it doesn't
Yeah.
become some kind of a crutch,
Yeah.
right? Which, and I mean, like, this isn't just a new problem that's going on. This problem has been around for years. It's like, what is the purpose of your addiction to video games,
Mhm.
right? And like James, you mentioned it earlier. Is this an escape? Or sorry, is this a stress relief? You have a long day and you just want to shoot the shit with your boys,
Kick
sitting
back,
down
yeah.
on the couch, have a beer, and play some games? Sure, absolutely. Why not? Right? Or is this escape? Are you escaping the world
Yeah.
you live in? And that's when it becomes a problem, I find. And I've been subject to it myself. I've been part of that to myself many times in my life where I wasn't necessarily happy with what was going on in my day to day life. And so I supplanted it with a video game. And, you know, I could control that much easier. I could control what was happening to my character much easier. There was less judgment going on. There was more anonymity going on. I could be free. I could be whoever I wanted to be. And there was power in that. And I think that becomes a problem because you know what it reminds me of? It's like, and we were talking about South Park earlier. I was like making all the songs and jokes and stuff like that. But there's a great quote in South Park about marijuana and smoking weed, where Randy and what's Stan's mom's name? It doesn't matter.
They're good too.
Yeah, they have a Stan from the future come and visit them through a lightning strike. And goes, oh, he's all high and shit like that. It's like, Stan, this is your future self to scare him away from drugs. And at the end of the episode, Stan finds out about it and he says, like, why couldn't you just, you know, he finds out that it was all a lie, that the guy's an actor who learned about his life, blah, blah, blah. And the parents were in on it all along. He goes, why couldn't you just talk to me like you know, like an adult? Why couldn't you just be real with me? And so Randy sits down with him and he goes, okay, let's be real. It's not that drugs are bad. It's not like video games are bad. They're not. The problem is that what drugs and marijuana give you is it makes it okay to be bored. When you're young and you're growing up and there's so much life to live and there's so much passion to be had and you have a path in front of you that you can guide. Being high makes it okay to be bored. And there's way too much exciting life to be lived, especially at that age when you're growing, to be fucking bored, to be okay with being bored and zoned out and mellowed out. And it's so similar with video games. It's like there's so much world to live and there's so much opportunity out there. And instead of being the hero in Skyrim in your video game, which is fine. At the end of the day, it's fine. You can be that hero in real life. You can go to Dubai. You can travel the world. You can learn new experiences, and you can really partake. And I would almost guarantee that at the end of the day, it's going to be so much more valuable to your life than video games. But that's tough. That's there's a trade off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
No, it's totally.
That's my piece so far. But Nick, I do want to hear from you.
No,
I want to hear from you. I could talk
totally.
about this
I feel like, unfortunately, addiction kind of, or especially like video game addiction, is taught from a very young age at this point. Like you were saying, like if the kid's bored, give him the cell phone. Right? I remember, like even with me, like we're going. It counts, but it's like when my mom whenever I was being a little shit, my mom would give me her Nokia, and it had Snake on it.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there for fucking 2 hours trying to beat Snake. But
like that brings up
at that point, it's just continue.
Well, is that wrong? Because like think about this. It's like that classic picture of like I remember seeing this on Reddit or Imgur a long time ago, and it was like a comparison of back in the day to now, and it was like nowadays look at that, like it's a subway cart, right? It's like 50 people on a train and almost every single person is on their cell phone, and it's like, wow, how disgusting, right? What an awful world we live in where everyone's hiding from each other and involving themselves in the phone.
It's getting
but
worse
then it's but what the point of the picture is to disagree with that and saying no, It's always been like this, man. People don't want to just fucking talk to each other on a goddamn train all the time. You think 100 years ago everyone was like la-di-da having conversations
Yeah.
willy-nilly all over the fucking place?
Maybe.
No, man. No, because
No,
but that's
I
the
know.
point of the picture.
Nine
Is like
times
this,
out of 10, I'm worried about the person next to me robbing me.
Yeah, or stabbing you or something crazy.
It's terrible world we live in.
Yeah.
No, but like the picture was
Oh.
that with 50 people on their cell phone, and then a side-by-side pic of like 1915 where there was 50 people on a train, and every single person had a newspaper open in front of them.
Same shit. Yeah,
People want
okay.
to, so it's not like the question is, what are you doing with this shit? Right?
Yeah.
Are you hiding or are you learning, or are you like you have an hour to kill on the subway? You telling me reading Wikipedia or keeping up on the news, or like as long as it's like blah blah blah, an unbiased news article? That's fine. That's healthy. That's good, man.
Yeah.
That's good. You don't have to talk to every cocksucker beside you, man. Most people are awful anyways. But it becomes
I'd talk to you.
the problem of escapism, right? And it's like we talked about this earlier, where we were going to mention some of the games we've had in our past that did this to us, right? And for me, it was, I mean, it's been a lot of shit. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
For the most part, it was World of Warcraft, right? And I would excuse myself during this phase of my life. I would excuse myself from activities with friend groups. Not really. It wasn't that bad. But if there was an interesting opportunity that put me outside of my comfort zone, outside of that box that we're all told, get the fuck out of that box, because that's when life occurs, right?
Yeah.
But like any opportunity, I'd have to go outside of that box. I was like, no, I'm comfy. I'm going to fucking log in and go raid or, dungeon or fucking PvP, battlegrounds, blah, blah, blah. I chose that instead, and I think that was a missed opportunity. I have a lot of really, really fantastic memories from that game that I would never trade for the world. I mean, like 10 years later, I still have flashbacks of these epic moments I had in that game that helped shape me and define me as much as any real world experience ever could.
Yeah,
because it was real to me. It doesn't matter what fucking
else thinks, right?
Yeah, no, not what everyone else thinks necessarily, but what way I was experiencing the world, right? It wasn't like what is really the big difference? Like, think about the Matrix, right? The whole style and concept of it all. What is the big difference of me experiencing life walking around as opposed to me experiencing life walking around in a video game?
Yeah.
Is it really that different?
Yeah,
You're still communicating with people. You're still having experience. There's a social aspect. There's a class aspect. There's a leadership aspect. There's all kinds of aspects.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade those for the world. But that being said, my mother, who's a brilliant woman, always said, if you don't have a damn good excuse not to go out and experience the world, like if your friends invite you out and you don't have a really good excuse, go out, do things. Because you never know what the fuck is going to happen.
Yeah, you never know what experiences you're going to have when you go out.
Exactly, man. You're walking down the street and suddenly you bump into the goddamn half the roster of the Blue Jays, and suddenly you're invited
crazy
to
epic
fucking,
night.
What are they called? Those bars, those peaks, speakeasies.
Yeah.
I was at a speakeasy with like a quarter of the Blue Jays, like in Toronto. I just happened to cross, and it was what a fucking night. But if I instead was playing a video game, I would have known what to expect. I would have been, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There's situations where you stumble across
some good memories there, but you probably wouldn't have that story to tell
of going out.
Well, exactly, right? Like life keeps on fucking moving, whether you're part of it or not. And you don't want to wake up one day and say, "Shit, man! Like I enjoyed that. I had a good time." But at the same time, like fuck, man, I could have done it all. I could have done.
Well, I'll tell you a crazy story. So for me, my game was like Gears of War. So Gears 1, Gears 2, just fucking like addicted to, and we played the shit out of that game. So I remember, I'll tell you a crazy story. So I remember when I first started chatting with my wife, who is my wife now, on Plenty of Fish. So she had messaged me, or no, I had messaged her. We started chatting, and then we had set a date to go out, which was Tuesday, whatever, November 3rd, or whatever the hell it was. And,
you're in trouble. You didn't remember.
Yeah.
Wait,
So that I remember.
What is it?
I remember that day because I had gotten home from work. I worked out. I was fucking gassed. I took a nap. I got up, and then I had who fucking texted me? Might have been Dave or somebody else. They texted me like, all the
Dave
guys,
with,
NXL, all the boys are getting on NXL on Gears tonight, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, right!" Like I'm playing Gears. I'm not going out. This is fucking stupid, right? I'm not going on a date. Like I don't need to go on a date, right? Kind of thing. and she had called. I purposely ignored the phone call, and
Been there.
and then I was playing it, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going for a smoke. So I listened to the voicemail, and she was like, "Hey, you know, it's Marcia. Hope all is well.
I suck your dick.
I haven't heard from you, and I just want to know if we're still like, you know, going out tonight, right?" And then I'm sitting there having to smoke, and I'm like, "Fuck, do I go out? Like, I really want to play games with the guys." Oh, she sounded so sweet on the phone. I'm like, "Fuck it." Went inside. I got changed. I fucking went on this date, and now I'm married, 2 beautiful fucking kids, beautiful wife. So can you imagine if I didn't go out that day?
You stole this story. You
can ask her.
Goodwill Hunting, right?
Yeah, no, but you can ask her. Like, it's just a crazy story, right? And I always ask her. I'm like, if I would have called you or text you saying, "Oh, like I'm busy, I can't tonight," like, would you have gone out with me again? She's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." So that's like a crazy story. But yeah, like from you is Gears, addicted
Good
to
choice.
Wait, is this wait? I'm confused. Are you saying you regret not playing the video game, or? Yeah, if you're watching this, I apologize.
I love you, honey. I love you. But yeah, that's just like that's one of my like crazy, I guess, addictions.
She's just standing behind the camera, tapping her foot.
Yeah, it just punches me right
No,
now.
but that creates the division, right? That is the question. It's like, well, where are your priorities?
Mhm.
And I, you know, it doesn't really matter what age group, but the reality is that like drugs, like all addictions, I should say, but drugs is a big one. Certain age groups are definitely more, you know what I mean? Easily, susceptible. Exactly. And it's like, you know what I think the biggest fucking problem here is that, yeah, sure, video games have been around for 40 years, give or take, 30, 40 years. And kind of, yeah. Pong was what, 80 fucking one?
80s?
No, sorry,
70s,
it was earlier,
like 70s
75.
It's like
yeah.
a long time, man.
Yeah, fair enough. So, yeah, but that's still 40.
We'll say 50
years.
50 years. That's 50 years. Jesus Christ. It's 2021. How old am I? Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, these games have been around for a long time, and the opportunity to become addicted to these games has been around for quite some time as well. But and this can be its own podcast in itself, so I won't fucking go too deep into this, but like video games in the future are like fucking hand in fucking hand. Like, as technology gets better and more people around the world have access to high-speed internet and computers, even basic computers, and like shit, that number's been growing for the last 30 fucking years.
Yeah,
right.
And even now, like,
you have 4 billion people connected to the internet. Not at any given time. You have 1 billion at any given time, but you have 4 billion people who have connection to the internet, who have the accessibility to play video games, and that number is going to increase massively. You now have this opportunity, and as technology, like, you know, I was having a conversation with my brother earlier this week about the future of video games, right? And we were talking specifically about esports, right? And I used to have this conversation all the time with people, how esport gaming would eventually overtake actual competitive sports. Yeah, eventually. Like it
could, yeah.
Honestly, the more, no, it's not about it could.
No,
like,
but like I can
the
see
more you think about it, James, it's an inevitability. It will have to happen. It has to happen because what makes these sports so interesting is that you have access to them yourself. You know why soccer is one of the most watched sports in the world? Because all it takes is a fucking ball. And you kick that goddamn ball, right? And hockey's fucking fantastic because hockey has its own great qualities, but much less so than soccer because hockey's expensive. It's hard to just, for the average person to have.
Yeah, it's super.
Yeah, half the fucking world lives on the equator. They have no interest in hockey because it doesn't fucking freeze, right? So, yeah, but now you have something that everyone can do. Yeah. Everyone can do. And then, no matter where you live.
And it's not like my generation, I go, well, yours, Jess, and I know, Nick, you're a little bit younger than we are, but it's like, we had video games, but it wasn't like the main thing to be doing. We were like playing sports. So it's like, I had buddies that grew up that, were on the verge of making the NHL or football or baseball, whatever it is. But now, like, kids are being almost bred into like, hey, you're really good at fucking video games. Well, now you're going to be a esports star, right? Like, and
you're gonna play Overwatch.
Like what you're saying, JS, is like you see these guys playing like NHL or NBA, and like these guys are fucking awesome. But even now, you're seeing athletes who are just like, fuck, I don't want to play fucking sports really when I could just make money playing video games too, right? On Twitch or whatever you're doing. And
if you break down the semantics of it all, or like not just the semantics, but like and it is a little bit about the wording of it all. But like, if you break down the how it all works, right? Okay, like, what was that really interesting statistic about American football? Right, it's like 20% of children, 20% of maybe it's higher than that. It's like 30% of high school football kids go and play college football. Okay, 30% of high school go and play college. Okay, it's something like 12% of those college kids go off to play blah 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 afterwards. Okay, and the number keeps going shorter and shorter and shorter until you hit the NFL, and it's something like 0.01% of that original crew make the cut.
Yeah.
And that's all fine and good, but that creates that competitive nature. But you need, and that's why it's like, that's why LeBron James nowadays, could destroy fucking Larry Bird 50 years ago. He would fucking destroy him. You know why? Because instead of basketball 50, 60 years ago being exclusive to North America generally and to a smaller demographic, basketball has become so commercialized and so nationalized and so globalized that you now have scouts going across the goddamn world and finding 6'5" people who are athletic as fuck and making the cut for the competition because there's money. There's so much money involved that they now go global and they say, oh, guess what? What's his name? The 6'7" Chinese basketball player who was like famous for a long time. Yao Ming, yeah. Look, they found Yao Ming and they're like, this motherfucker's like 6'9" and he has game. Great, bring him over. Bring him over. Yeah, we'll pay him fucking $30 million a year.
Yeah.
You think Yao Ming has a problem with that? No, absolutely not. The competition, the money got more involved, more isolated, more blah blah blah, and the competition got fierce. But then again, the gameplay got fucking intense because now it's not just how good you are, it's everything else. It's like you're not competing against everyone in North America. You're competing against everyone in the fucking world to get in the NBA. Right?
Yeah.
And that's all fine and good. That makes sense. Soccer's even worse about that, even harder. But now you have that for video games, right? The more money that gets pumped into competitive esport video gaming, the higher caliber of competition you start getting because they start picking people from all the world. People start paying attention and going, oh, this little kid in Norway is like fucking 500 games in one in Dota? Yeah, we're bringing him on our team. He's fucking skilled. You know what?
It's big money.
You know me, guys.
Are big money, man. Big money.
It's not just sponsorship. So
no, I know what you're talking
about.
But
like, you know, I love my Dota, but like Dota's had their international tournament. It's TI 10 this year or TI 11 or some shit like that. It's been going on for 10 or 11 years. 10 or 11 years ago, their grand prize was $1 million. No, sorry, their overall prize pool was $1 million. Okay, 11 years later, it's something like 48 fucking million. That is massive exponential growth. That's massive exponential growth. That's just going to keep going up and fucking up. And as you get more people all over the world participating, you're going to get a lot more attention onto it. And to bring it back to our original point about addiction in video games, it's like the world is becoming much more dominant in video game culture.
It's becoming huge.
Yeah,
and
it's evolving. Unfortunately, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So
with that comes the people who... And it's not putting it on people. It's like everything in moderation. The minute you take it just a little too far, that's when things tend to get out of control.
Yeah, and that's
so for you, Nick, what was one game, Nick, that you like? Shouldn't have put those hours into.
Destiny.
Both.
It was
the first
recent. The first Destiny that came out
3 years ago.
I was in college, or no, I was at university at the time. Actually, with Dan, we were at Ryerson. And I hated the game to start with, right? And then
Who the fuck is Dan?
Dan.
Yeah, I know.
Where's
one day
Dan?
we should finally get him on here. But
one day.
But I started playing that and I ended up sinking like 500, 600 hours into that game.
During a time in your life where you probably shouldn't have, right?
No, not at all. I should have been studying. I was in history, for Christ's sake. To write like 20, 30-page essays. Right? And like,
well, I mean,
trying to redo the Crota raid over and over and over and over again before Oryx came out.
Well, that's I know, and it's such a fine fucking balance, though, right? Because like I put way too much time into specific video games in my life. I know that, but like do I actually regret that? Not really.
That's,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. When I
You
look
enjoyed
back
your
at it, I
time
don't
doing
regret it.
Yeah.
Like I ended up taking that addiction and spinning it because like it was around that time that I also switched programs and I got out of history and went into broadcasting. So I screen capped us doing the Oryx raid and I turned it into a news piece for a broadcast we were doing.
Love it. Love it.
Fuck. Yeah, it's just interesting.
I still have that video.
We're playing it now for anyone who's watching.
Throw it up. Yeah. So let me ask you guys. I don't know, any one of you guys can jump in, but like, at what point does like the passion become like supreme addiction? Really? Anyone want to take that?
Yeah,
because like I'm passionate about video games. Like, would I consider myself an addict? I play almost every night.
You know what, James? If you choose to video game over masturbating, I think suddenly there's.
I honestly
no, but like you were saying about priorities, right? Like you need to get your priorities straight. But yeah, there's times where like I just want to play video games, and it trumps anything that I've done in life. And has it taken away from certain aspects of my life, like you were saying, going out when you're growing up, or like even now, like married with kids? Have I like chose video games over my kids or my wife and stuff like that? And I look back and like, okay, maybe there's some, there's days where why am I gaming tonight when I could be, spending some time with my wife doing, watching one of her shows or whatever it is. But I wouldn't consider myself an addict. I just enjoy video games. I enjoy covering it. I enjoy, doing these podcasts, whatever it may be. Maybe like once upon a time, yeah, you're an addict because you're gaming 16 hours a day. And
yeah, I mean, no one, like, the reality is that you should never be spending. You should never fucking spend, and like I might get hated on by saying this, but if you're playing more than like 5 or 6 hours of video games a day, there's probably something wrong. And I fuck, man, even today I'm 32 and there's days where I spend 6 or 7 hours playing video games. Yeah, but I know that's wrong. I'm aware that's wrong. I'm aware at the end of the day that I should have done other things, at least sparsely. Yeah, in order to maintain that fucking number. I'll never forget my talking to my dad. My dad's a brilliant man, very wise. And I don't know why we were talking about this, but at some point I was like, oh man, like I watch like fucking 2 or 3 movies a day. And he looks at me, he's like, that's too many movies a day.
Well, it's like
way
6
too
hours,
many movies
right?
a day.
Like
He was so serious too. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right, man. Like watching 2 or 3 movies a day, that's like 3 or 4 hours of
yeah. And then it's like, but what are you gonna fill that time with? Like, okay, so you watch 6 hours of movies, man. But it's like, okay, are you gonna go out and build a fucking house, or like, okay, well, I'm not gonna.
Bullshit,
but like, I'm not gonna.
No, you could
building a fucking house.
But would you rather?
Sorry,
would some people would consider like reading a fucking book for 6 hours a waste of time as
no.
well too?
No. Yeah, but I mentioned this earlier. It doesn't matter what you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
Escapism is escapism, and yeah, we talked about this earlier too. So maybe I should just segue into it. But like, whether it's escapism or hanging out with the boys after a hard day's work, like they're 2 totally different things. And I remember when I was in university, we went over some topic. I think it was like general studies or something like that. But it was a paper on like watching reality TV after a hard day's work. And the paper's conclusion was, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if you spend 8 hours, 9 hours at work, long day, you make fucking food for your damn kids, everyone's happy, kids are in bed, you want to sit down in front of the TV and watch an hour of mind-numbing bullshit Survivor, Bachelor TV and pass out. And I used to give my mom shit about that. I remember like she'd be like, wine glass in hand, lovely woman, don't get me wrong, wine glass in hand, like passed out, like the Bachelor in the background. I'd be like, Mom, wake up, like 4 years old. No, I'm kidding. I was like 19 years old, being like, Mom, go to bed. Jesus Christ, lovely woman, but like that, I mean, that was her turning her brain off because she worked so fucking hard all day.
Yeah.
And the point of this article or this paper was like, hey, if you want to turn your fucking brain off, if you need to turn your brain off, turn your damn brain off. Don't go out and like watch, CBS or like, CNN or whatever. Don't watch these stupid programs, these serious programs, I should say.
Yeah, watch
and spill that shit into the rest of the world with half your attention actually focused on the actual program. You're half asleep watching CNN. You wake up the next day and you're like, oh, that damn Barack Obama causing all those problems again. You're like, you missed the whole goddamn point of the goddamn story. Don't be sprouting that shit, right? That was the point. It was like, if you want to turn your brain off, turn your goddamn brain off. And that's fine. If you want to play video games at the end of a long, hard day, feel free, man. That's an excellent way to turn your brain off and learn. The problem becomes is like, if you're trying to escape your life, and hide from the things you don't want to do, the unproductiveness, the bullying, the fucking whatever.
Going to work, like fucking where it takes over your work, you're calling in sick to play, like shit.
I've done that so many times.
I've done it 100 times.
But
at that point, you didn't think it was addiction. You thought it was because like all your buddies,
take our advice.
All your buddies would call in sick and just play video games.
Your old employers are writing you up as we speak.
Fired. Too bad I don't work for you anymore. But yeah, it's just interesting now. Like I think a lot of kids, maybe it's just like they don't have like guidance or awareness of like what it can lead to. And JS, you're talking about how like esports eventually will be something massive, and it's like you always want to have that competitive edge over somebody, and that's where like a lot of these developers now, and I'll pick on EA because we pick on them all the fucking time. It's with these microtransactions and like whether it's Madden or FIFA or NHL, where like you're buying these packs, and then that's like a whole nother addiction because that kind of goes into when we talk about gambling and gambling in video games and all that. So that's when it gets really intense because like these kids are focusing 10 hours a day playing fucking whatever it is, Dota, Gears, whatever they're playing, but then they're also spending hundreds of dollars to become that like top of the line player. I don't know if Dota has microtransactions. I'm sure it doesn't, but that's a bad example.
It does, but not for a skill.
No,
it has for cosmetics.
But like when you're playing like NHL, like the Hockey Ultimate Team, if you're playing in these big tournaments, it's your Hockey Ultimate Team versus someone else's. So if you don't have the cash to drop $500 and build your fucking team to compete against somebody else, then you're already 10 steps behind. So what do you think kids are doing? They're playing 10 hours, they're dropping thousands of dollars just to become a better fucking player. And that's where it gets to another level of like addiction and
But I think that should be separated because and maybe not separated entirely, but you are absolutely right. You bring up a really good point. Being addicted to video games can lead to other. It's almost like a fucking gateway drug.
Yeah,
it can be.
The amount of drugs I used to do just while playing video games.
Yeah,
like
you're hitting the bong, you're doing whatever. Like,
dude, I don't play like Dota is one of my favorite games. I don't play Dota without having a drink or two, maybe 5 or 6. Right? I'm not even really that interested. I'll just go to sleep. Back in the day, it was other things, but the point is that video games can be a gateway drug, sure. Absolutely. But it's the responsibility of the parents, as it's always been. It's the responsibility of companies to create some kind of child lock on this shit so that you can't just access your parents' credit card on the account for, what's that? Doesn't matter. Mobile game.
Candy Crush.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, to be honest, and like playing in both of the microtransaction side of things, there's a lot more instant gratification in games nowadays, too, which could also help with getting people to continue playing and all that, because I remember playing BioShock when it first came out, right? And I remember having no clue where the hell it was going.
Great game.
Right? And running around trying to figure things out. And I think if a game like that came out nowadays, there would be flashing lights all over the screen telling you which direction to go and everything all working.
No, you bring up a really fucking good point. Like a really good point, Nick. You're absolutely right. These games are designed to be addictive.
Yeah, of course.
Designed by not just the programmers, but by a fucking squad of psychologists who are paid by the company, being like, what is a way? Sorry if that's too loud. What is the way we can? How do we hook them in? How do we hook them in?
How do we hook them in? It's like a drug. It's like a drug.
Especially with something
absolutely like a drug.
Especially with something with microtransactions in it. If they hook them in, they have the potential to buy.
But Nick, it's not just microtransactions.
I'm just using
microtransactions.
But
yeah, absolutely. But it's every single game generally is still employing some kind of technique. And I'm not including quality gameplay and great storytelling and good script. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have like you said, flashing titles or quick
cutting, quick action scenes, quick everything versus
for anyone who's played these mobile games. I fucking played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I downloaded it for
That's
free
what I
on my
thought.
phone.
That's
No,
on
no,
your
no, but it's
phone?
not the
Excuse
No,
me. It's on your
It's
phone.
the
not
newer
the
version. Like, it's not the old one.
Oh, I was
It's
gonna
not the
say,
OG
I'm like,
one.
what
It's the
is-
cell phone version,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so you gotta log in 3 or 4 times a day to collect the gold or the money that you
Yeah,
made from
you
each
need to-
ride.
yeah,
You know, and ding, yeah, and you click on the gold and it goes bling, right? And then the gold spikes up,
And
and
you're
you're
just
like,
fucking,
ooh,
yeah.
pretty colors, yeah.
You get your little dopamine hit every time
Yeah.
you press the button.
Yeah.
And just,
But yeah, like the world is becoming really, especially the entertainment industry in general, but they're becoming really, really good at knowing how to mess you up inside,
Yeah.
right? In your
That's
brain,
also
like
what
how to
happens
take
when-
advantage of you. And good
Yeah.
storytelling will always be good storytelling, and that's why games like Cyberpunk need to be praised in the end and not just shunned,
Shit,
because
yeah.
because like as much as they fucked up, it's like at least goddamn they're doing something original, and at least
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, it's
trying
not
to
mindless
create a
shit
good
anymore.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
holy
exactly.
shit. Now luckily I don't think the gaming community, the gaming community has dived as deep in that world as something like movies, for instance. Like
Yeah.
movies become so fucking cookie cutter, right? They know exactly how to
Yeah.
tease you, how
There's
to
there's
spark
only-
emotion.
There's
Hardcore
only
scene.
so
couple
much like no, sorry. There's only so many genres you can get into nowadays with movies. I think kind of bringing it back to video games. Another reason that it could be getting more addictive as time goes on is there's more normalcy to it. I remember when I was a kid, whenever
Yeah.
I'd play games for longer than a few hours a day, or if I just spent 6 hours in the basement playing Halo 3 or something like that. Remember, my parents would be like, "Why are you wasting or being antisocial?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Why don't you
and
just go out and
nowadays
play
it's
outside? Nowadays, they're just
understood.
like the people who
normal.
are raising them are like, "Well, I know I was talking to my friends, so they're talking to their friends now."
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, not only that, but their fucking dads on the other goddamn
Playing too,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, like
yeah.
that's what's
Which is fine, but that's the thing, right? It's totally cool to do that. There's so much to be gained from playing video games. There's
100%.
so much. There's strategy and
Yeah,
intelligence and like problem solving. Like
Yeah.
my God, I honestly think the entire education system needs to be revamped in the form of some form of game.
yeah. Well, I
Make
can
it-
hear.
make
I'll give you an
Get
example.
everyone to play
Go.
Legends of Zelda.
Yeah,
At least one of them.
Sure.
So I'll
yeah.
gi-
Well,
I'll give you a good example.
You're in grade 5, Water Temple,
Yeah.
baby. You can
Yeah.
get through Water
You can
Temple.
do
You
it.
get 100%.
You can do
Yeah.
it. So here, like,
Oh,
let me tell you something. So, before my daughter even started playing Nintendo Switch, she was always playing on the like her Samsung tablet or whatever it was. So there's some educational games, and like she got into it. It was really cool. And then eventually, it's like, okay, she like started liking YouTube. So she's watching these like weird kid shows that are just like, I don't know, like these girls have attitude, and then like I'm seeing her become like get this attitude to her. I'm like, hey, why are you acting like this? What are you watching? So I'm like, okay, maybe you should start doing something like. The first game she started playing on the Switch was Super Mario Maker 2. So I showed her. I said, "Here's what you can do. You can start building. So you can." She's like, "Oh, I can build my own world. Like that's cool." So I feel like Minecraft and stuff like that. So now
Yeah.
we've completely like she doesn't even touch that tablet anymore. She's like, "Oh, I don't want to watch YouTube anymore. I want to learn stuff. I want to play. Like I want to build. I want to do this." And I'm watching her play video games, but I'm seeing her like figure games out. She's playing Super Mario Maker 2. She's like, why can't I jump that high? Then she's figuring shit out. She's doing this. And it's like, that I think is fantastic for kids. There's always
for
great
sure.
educational games. Okay, is Super Mario Maker 2 educational? No, but it gives
it
her
can
the
be.
problem
Yeah,
solving
it's
problem
skills.
solving.
Why
Right?
isn't it?
No,
I
yeah,
understand.
no, but you know what I mean? Like there's
How is that not educational?
well,
It's
to some
extremely
it's not.
educational.
It's life skills is
Yeah.
what it's teaching.
No,
versus-
you're that game is like pure fucking strategy
and
and
it's
that game is chess in a nutshell.
yeah,
Can I create something that I can accomplish that no one else can?
yeah,
It's horse. It's horse in basketball. Oh, I'm gonna
yeah,
do something
something crazy.
My
Yeah.
favorite level from that game, I think it was the first one. It was called P is for Pain.
Yeah,
It was created by the same guy who came out with one of the JRPG games, Doki Doki Literature Club,
The hell's
which ended up being like it was a supposed to be like a JRPG where it's like it's a dating sim, but it's technically a horror.
Yeah.
It's just the
So
whole
that-
game just flips.
That's my entire life right now, man.
that? You dating horror
My life in Moncton, yeah.
coming down.
Dating
the
horror
mountain,
game.
baby, coming down.
But yeah, like yeah, you're absolutely right though. James, man. It comes down to parental responsibilities at the end of the day, because like, guess what? With kids, it always comes down to that. Like, you're never going to be hide away from that. There's no fucking system like, well, I'll put my kid on PS5 or you know, the Switch and he'll be okay. Like, no, you always have to be active and engaged and make sure that they're learning from the right sources and they know how to find good quality information, right? But like we said earlier, it's so easy to just say, yeah, here's the phone, go on YouTube, whatever. No child lock, no nothing.
Parents need that. There's days where you're just like, here, fuck, leave me alone. Go play upstairs in your room and sit up there for 3 hours.
Yeah, but now that fucking like 12-year-old kid's watching goddamn hardcore pornography, right? Like,
or like rated
R.
No,
I'm serious.
No, I agree.
Like, think about that. When I was 12 years old, I was watching like God, it would almost be impossible to come across softcore pornography
back in the day.
You know, I had to work my ass off to get like a picture of fucking fake Britney Spears nude or some shit like that. Like, it was hard.
You guys had computers. I had magazines, man. I had magazines.
I had magazines too, but they just didn't cut it for me anymore because I'm like a product of the 90s, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, what's the other word for that? Desensitizing. Yeah. But I still had to work. I had to print out the picture and blah blah blah. But like,
show your buddies.
Think about
it up on your wall.
Like, I don't want to skew the topic too far, but like, if kids really wanted to, with the access of their parents' phone, they could watch
whatever
some
they want.
Seriously dark shit. Yeah. At any given time.
And you can watch anything you want. This kid could be like, let's watch shootings, and then just fucking something would pop up and it'd be crazy, right? Like,
dude,
at 12 years old.
Absolutely.
Reddit, whatever it is. It's just
these parental locks are becoming important.
Yeah.
But to get it more focused on gaming in a nutshell, and I wanted to say this earlier too, but we were talking about the future of gaming and how it's becoming so much more prevalent, right? Like, I honestly, like, you ever watch the movie Gamer or
that was a good movie, man.
Minority Report, right? Minority Report with Tom Cruise and shit. You know, Minority Report, let's say, where he's trying to find that hacker to whatever, talk to the whatever that chick is called. I can't remember her name. He goes into the basement, like, club-like scene where everyone's like hooked into the virtual reality world, and it's like, hey, you want to kill your boss? You want to kill your boss? $50.
Come in here,
kill your boss. You want to go? Yeah, skydiving. Cool. That's $10. Blah blah. But that's where this is going, right? That's where all this shit is going.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, virtual reality is slowly making its way into the mainstream, but when it fucking does, and when it does big, like, can you imagine? And I've been thinking about this for a long time, but can you imagine the ramifications that's going to have, right? Think about what
like, I'm going out, but here you go, boop, and then you're just
sure, yeah.
Time to leave my house.
Right? Exactly. I'm going to go out tonight. Yeah. Sure, you put on your fucking goddamn goggles, and you're in the hottest nightclub.
Right? Like,
the hottest nightclub in the fucking world, surrounded by celebrities.
Oh, I'm totally doing that. I'm like, I'm going
money and booze. Yeah.
Gambling,
you want to go? You want to fly around like Iron Man? You want to be Iron Man? Guess what? The only way any of us here are going to be Iron Man is when we plug into a virtual reality, and it's so goddamn close to what the reality is. It doesn't fucking matter anymore.
It's gonna be nuts,
you want to live on Mars? Guess what? You're not actually going to live on Mars. You're going to live on Mars like this.
Yeah.
That's how you live on Mars without the chance of your oxygen.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. You guys have watched deepfakes and stuff like that? These deepfake videos?
That's going to be like...
You want to fuck like Pamela Anderson or like what? That's so old school, but
love her.
Like,
but you can.
What's her name?
You'll be able to. CJ.
What's her name from IGN?
CJ Parker.
No, that Butte from IGN from no, we can't talk about this because they're gonna fucking God forbid this becomes popular. But like, like, think about anyone you've ever wanted to bang, right? Like, deep fake the shit out of it, virtual reality, 100%. You think anyone's gonna hide from that world?
Addiction, right?
You're gonna hide from that world? That's what I'm saying. This is only going to get more dangerous.
Yeah.
You want to climb Mount Everest? Virtual reality. You want to fly in a fighter jet? Virtual reality. You want to go to the moon? Virtual reality.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so fucking realistic. It's going to be so realistic that your brain won't be able to tell whether it was real or fake. Not really. It's super easy.
Yeah, it's very easy considering VR nowadays. Like, say, for example, some of the horror games that you're playing. If you have a VR headset and you're playing, what was it?
Silent Hill.
Called Silent Hill or anything in that regard. The minute something jumps out in front of you, your body physically reacts. Right? I watch people get knocked on their ass from a little like stupid like little res ghost coming around the corner.
I'm 32 years old. When I was like 16, we went to the Science Center in outside of Toronto, downtown Toronto, and we all saw it in their Omniplex theater, right? The one with the massively tiered seating, and then a giant fucking dome, a massive dome in front of you where they would project a 3D world environment. There was no image in front of your head. There was no like blocking your eyes. You just sat in this chair and you stared at this massive dome above you. Okay. And on the dome was you sitting in a roller coaster and the roller coaster ripping around this hellfire landscape, giant tunnels and stuff like that. And this was like 15, 16 fucking years ago. And and even then, sitting in that goddamn roller coaster, and you're not in a roller coaster, you're sitting in a chair surrounded by thousands of or 100 people. Your stomach is dropping every time this thing goes over a hill. Every time this thing goes over a hill. That's 16 years ago. You know what? Today, I remember like I worked at like Cineplex like 6 years ago, and someone had the Samsung phone that could plug into the reality. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm working in a movie theater, but I'm not in a movie theater. We're in a break room or some shit, and this guy's like, "Check it out, man! You could actually be in the movie theater without being in the movie theater." So I put it on over my face. And I'm in the movie theater. I'm standing in an empty movie theater.
It's crazy.
And there's chairs all around me, and there's a massive screen in front of me. And I remember looking at the screen, and if you focused on the screen, your vision was directly in front of it. It would create a loading bar, and you could play shit. But even before then, I remember I'm standing in an empty break room with like one other dude, and in my mind, there's chairs, rows of chairs in front of me, and I'm trying to move in this room. And I remember trying to put my hand in front of this chair to hold onto it, and I'm like stumbling in this fucking room, man.
It's
like,
crazy.
It gets you, man.
It's really easy to trick the mind by tricking the eyes. The eyes are really easy to fuck with, right?
There's a
go ahead.
There's a really weird phenomenon. Like it's like I think I spoke with Dan about it once. It's called like the Call of the Void, which is like if you see you're standing at the really tall ledge, you think, what would happen if I jumped?
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're playing, like when I played, I forgot what the game was, but there was like a hole in the middle of the ground in front of me, and I'm like standing at it, and I'm like, I can't go down there, but I want to.
Actually, I heard something like on the radio. These guys were talking about the Call of the Void, and they're like, you know those times where you're just like, you're driving home, you're like, I wonder what would happen if I just drive my car off into the river, right? Like where
you know what that is though.
They say you'll never do it. Like they'll say you'll never do it, but like
this is what's happening because I've read about this a lot because this is a really true occurrence, right? And it happens to almost everyone. Where you're driving a car, you got all your friends in the backseat, and you're like, if I swerved into traffic right now, I would destroy so many lives. Or it's like you're holding a baby in your hands, and you're like, if I fucking killed this baby, I would destroy
that's a
this
little
whole
intense
family, right? Like there's some. The violence, it clicks in your head. But you know
weird,
what it is?
Eh?
This is what they say it is. It's your brain running through all possibilities and eliminating the ones that should not be present.
Oh,
it's saying, your brain does that. In anxiety moments, it goes, run through, and it does it 100 times. And the ones that really spark emotion, and you're saying, no, I can't do that. That's you telling yourself, don't do that. Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that.
That's interesting.
That's your brain thinking of that, and you come in and say,
no.
But it's your brain actually telling you.
Like that's out of all those scenarios, that's the worst one. Don't do it. Like that's
exactly.
Yeah, that's another. That's a pretty.
You guys heard of Uncanny Valley either?
Yeah.
No.
The Uncanny Valley is like it's the scenario where something can look as it doesn't look human. But it can look human.
No, it looks real. It looks so close to human, but there's something off about it, and it creates massive anxiety if you're looking at it. It's like those robots that are like,
yeah.
And you're like, wow, that looks really weird. It's so
watch,
creepy though.
In what was it? In Rogue One, right at the end of Rogue One, when you see Leia's 3D model, right?
Yeah.
That's the Uncanny Valley there. It's fake. But it looks real, but there's something wrong.
Yeah, and then
the only thing that's wrong in that scene is when she talks, her upper lip moves up.
But that's it, right?
When humans talk, we don't. This lip doesn't move. Everything else does.
Does, yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me see. I'm like watching.
Right,
I'm like, my lips are moving like crazy.
Your lips move like crazy, but this lip doesn't move up.
Yeah, it doesn't move up.
Fair enough.
Everything else is pulling your lip
down.
Yeah.
So I remember reading this thing, and it was like Uncanny Valley, and it was about exactly that. It's like when you see something that should be very human, that looks so close to human, but something is off. A slight little thing is off, and it sets off all of your anxiety, like back end nerves, being like, something's wrong. Danger.
Listen,
It's dangerous.
We're kind of getting off topic, but if this is it was a theory that I saw, because we're definitely getting off topic at this point. But it was a theory that I saw that says, if that is a defense mechanism that you have in your brain, that means at some point in history, something triggered that to say that this looks like me, but something's wrong.
So that was the whole that was the whole scary part about it, was like if your natural defense mechanism is saying something is wrong when you look at Uncanny Valley faces, it's saying at some point in our evolutionary history something was so similar to human beings but not quite human that it set off this defense mechanism, fight or flight, like get the fuck out because something is wrong, right? And everyone went, what the fuck was it? And then someone else comes along and says, yeah, relax, you fucking like psychopath. Like there's no fucking aliens in our history that are looking like you.
No, it was most likely it was other humans.
It was it was variations of the Homo sapien, right?
Yeah.
It was like, we didn't all just evolve perfectly, and it was like, it's like racism today. It's like, oh, you're a monkey who evolved into a somewhat different species, and I evolved into the Homo sapien, and you're a threat to me, and so we fucking destroyed them and eliminated them, right, out of whatever sense of like survival instinct we had. Therefore, there's like this always like, you're too close to me. You look too close to me. You're a threat, right?
Kill.
But right. But this all kind of comes back to the original point. I know we went off topic, but at the same time, it's like the world is going to become very, very, very hyper focused on CGI and video games, and you will and augmented reality, and it's going to be really fucking easy to dive in. What was that Bruce Willis movie where his actual body is like getting old and he's scarred, or his wife is scarred, but they sit back into a robotic, Bruce program.
Willis, really?
Yeah. And they connect to their artificial intelligence android that looks exactly like them in their best of cases, right?
Yeah.
Remember that? Bruce,
no.
Here, watch.
Surrogates,
exactly. Surrogates.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch that tonight, but check it out, because I mean, as silly as that is, that whole movie is riddled with common sense flaws. But it brings up an interesting point, right? It's like, why would I ever leave the safety and the wonder and the beauty of the virtual reality world, where I can be and do anything, like a dream that I was in control of?
You can have everything you want, really, right? Like you want to be
you can have everything you want. You can fuck who you want. You can be who you want. You can do whatever you want. Imagine the money in that, James.
Oh, it's huge.
Imagine the money if I created a game saying you could be Superman and feel really like Superman. So I'm going to set you up in a world that you can fly through a fucking building, and it's so fucking realistic. You look at your arm saying, am I cut? No, I'm fine. I'm Superman.
Yeah. So how far do you think like this is, like augmented reality, virtual reality, to the point where it's like
10 years?
You think so? Yeah, I would say 10 as well.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate.
Might even be longer.
Say maybe 20.
Yeah, because like they're just scratching the surface now, that we know of. But you have to,
but you stay there scratching this.
You got to think like, who's gonna be that company or that big player? Somebody that's already a company now,
Oculus, Sony, Facebook,
right? Will there be somebody else, right? Like
the reality is that always follow the money. If you're looking at trends in technological advancement, and follow the money. Okay, is there money in creating a world for someone where they can be or do whatever they want to do? Yes. Is there money in longevity, in creating life? Follow the money.
And that our whole topic here with addiction, that's going to create a whole next level. You got to plug that in of addiction down the road. And it's going to be insane.
But that's what I'm saying, is that
Right.
this is going to get a lot fucking worse. And the question is going to be like, why would I participate in the
And-
real world when I can hide
Yeah.
from it in my own perfect
And the
fucking
thing is,
world?
like with us, so 20 years down the road, like I'm gonna be 55 years old. Will I be doing that shit? Fucking absolutely. I'm gonna be partying in Vegas with the boys, right? When we're in our 20s, whatever it is. But it's like I think that we've, the way we've, I guess, evolved ourselves personally. It's like we know right from wrong, I guess. We know where like addiction, where it can lead to addiction.
Yeah, but is that fair though? But like, think about this, James. Right? It's so easy for your parents, and my parents to say, "Oh, kids these days,
Yeah.
they don't understand
They
what it
don't
was
get
like
it.
to
Yeah,
actually
they
go
don't.
right to go do these things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I fucking hid in a goddamn Greyhound baggage claimer to get to Vegas to party with the boys because I
Yeah,
had to. And
that's
it's
a cool
guess
story.
what? It's a cool story. We don't let that happen anymore. You can't do that anymore. You can't hide in a baggage claim. You'll get caught in a fucking second.
Yeah.
Right? People, like I've heard that story before told to me.
Chucked in
Like that,
Yeah, we take
that's cool,
we
right?
take flights
This ain't,
to LA and
this
party
ain't
in
the
LA.
'60s anymore, man.
Yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
follow fucking rules. People are watching. You can't get away with this shit.
It's changed.
But it's like, yeah, but you're right. In 15, 20 years from now, if your daughters are like relatively well-adjusted people, but they spend 6 hours a day in virtual reality doing God knows what,
Yeah.
and here's James here sitting there playing video games on his old Xbox fucking Series
Right,
X,
yeah.
being like, "You fucking kids, you don't understand how good we had it.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
just not understand." But does that what's the word, like, does that make what they're doing any less amazing, any less valuable,
Yeah.
any less important?
Yeah.
Are they suddenly
like, is that important
like-
to them? Does that make them feel happy at the
like
end of the day, right? Like,
exactly. We talk about addiction and we're like, what is the goal here? Mama Bear always says to me, like, you spend too much time playing video games. Well, guess what? If I don't play video games, I go out in the real world and get my ass kicked by the fucking assholes down the street. That's my life.
yeah.
I'm a fucking nerd. I'm a loser. I'm weak. I get my ass kicked all the time. I cannot. And like, it's a cop out. I get that. But like, if you find enjoyment in the world of Minecraft and you're creating and you're building and you're active in the community and people respect you and like you, and you found that niche for yourself, what's wrong? What's
wrong
really
with that?
wrong
Yeah.
here? with
How
spending
can
5 hours
somebody
a
tell
night?
you that that's wrong, right? Like, and that's just it's
They don't understand because your parents will never understand that new generation, and you probably won't understand your daughter's generation when they're faced with these massive questions of how much time do they want to be spending playing fake reality. Because is it fake reality? Are they learning? Are they experiencing?
It would be interesting. It'd be interesting to get like a professional on, like a psychiatrist or something like that, on one of these podcasts and talk to them about about this. I think that'd be to get their perspective or even their kind of experience with people or kids or whatever it is, adults that have come in and say, like, I'm addicted to this, I'm addicted to gaming, I'm addicted to online gambling, like stuff like that. It'd be interesting if we could get somebody out there like that would actually come on and chat with us about it. It would be really interesting. But let's put the cork in the bottle for this one. I honestly really enjoyed chatting about this stuff with you guys because we all have kind of our take on everything. Excuse me, I'm choking on my own water here.
Okay?
I start crying.
I think you need to play a video game.
Yeah, I think so. I'm like,
Think about his daughters in VR.
Yeah. No, don't do
choked
it.
up.
No more VR for you. But
It's
gonna be interesting, like what gaming is going to evolve, whether it's the esports stuff, and then augmented reality and virtual reality. It's gonna be insane. And like we're watching gaming evolve now to the way it's become, and down the road, who knows what it's gonna be? What kind of addictions will there be? 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So, you guys want to add anything before we shut her down?
I think I'm good.
It was
I mean, be careful. I think in my 32 years of living and gaming, I've come to a very obvious conclusion that I feel like everyone always comes to in the end, is that as much as I've enjoyed my time spent on video games, life is outside of the computer. I'm telling you, like real fucking life, real experiences are outside of it. And that's not to diminish what you can accomplish and the friends you make online. God damn, they're so important.
So
but
many,
like,
Of course.
nothing really beats long-term investment, long-term planning, long-term success and long-term
It's
experiences.
still good to have gaming as a
Mhm.
hobby. If that's your hobby, do it. If it makes you happy, just make sure you set
Yeah,
some
use it to
priorities.
turn your brain off.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
if it's an escape for you,
Yeah.
that's your thing. But there's always boundaries, and there's always different things
Yeah.
that you can do to combat it. If there's people watching this that are struggling with gaming addiction or any kind of addiction, fucking reach out to us, man. Love to chat with you. Throw some comments. We're always open ears here at NXL Gaming. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to the Level Up podcast. I'm James with Nick and JS here. So make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe, and just let us know, kind of your experiences on gaming addiction or any kind of addiction in the comments below, and we'll definitely get back to you guys. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Level Up.